So Chinese citizens are now the fastest growing migrant group crossing the southern border, with 24,000 apprehensions last fiscal year. And a new report says TikTok is to blame.
We wondered how all of these migrants knew about this particular entryway into California. The answer was in their hands.
Douyin. Oh, Douyin. Okay, TikTok.
Oh, you learned on TikTok. The post we found had step-by-step instructions for hiring smugglers and detailed directions to that hole we visited.
So what is causing the surge? Joining us now, author of Confucius Never Said and the senior federalist and contributor Helen Raleigh and field reporter Julio Rosas. Julio, let's go to you first. When I was at the border about 5 to 6 years ago, it was very rare to see a Chinese national. And when you saw them, they were runners. They weren't trying to turn themselves in. What are you seeing now at the border?
Well, it's what we've been seeing for the past few years now, and the fact that there's no fear. The fact that we have Border Patrol essentially trying to hide from illegal immigrants, and illegal immigrants are the ones trying to find Border Patrol. That just shows how crazy things have become under this administration. And it's the fact that, yeah, exactly, it's not even Central or even South Americans anymore. It's people from all over the world and people coming from, let's face it, adversarial countries who may want to do us harm and may want to exploit us through this weak point.
Yeah, so just to put it into perspective, in fiscal year 2021, 450, 22, 2100, and then this massive jump to over 24,000 in 23. Helen, I want to bring you in. Is this part of China's plan? I know when I was at Campus Reform, they had all these Confucius institutes on college campuses. What is China's goal here?
Good morning. I don't think it's China's plan to send those immigrants here across the border illegally. But let's address the Confucius Institute briefly. That's China. The Confucius Institute are run by China's United Front Department, which is a propaganda division of the Communist Party. So the Confucius Institute are covert operations to try to influence public opinions in the West. Fortunately, many universities, over hundreds of them, has been shut down since COVID because many people are waking up to it. As for the migrants issues, unfortunately, we don't know who they are. But I think most of them, based on what I read and what I heard, most of them came to the United States. They were really driven by, first of all, the open invitation of our lawless border. Everybody else is doing it, face no consequences, so they are following those examples. And secondly, but most importantly, they were driven by China's ongoing political persecution and the deteriorating economic situation. For example, China just sentenced a banker and an Australian writer to death this week. The banker was alleged to commit corruption. The writer was allegedly writing articles criticizing of the Chinese government while he was in Australia. So nobody feels safe in China. And then on the economic front, there's a high youth unemployment rate. The stock market is deteriorating. People saw biggest drop of their salaries last year, as well as the property market slumping. And the property market especially hurting people's confidence because over 70% of the Chinese people have their personal wealth tied to properties. So all these factors combined are driving people to come here.
Julio, what are Border Patrol agents telling you, as well as Texas DPS? Are they concerned about the folks coming across that are Chinese nationals?
Absolutely, and it's just the fact that this really hasn't happened before, at least in these large numbers. And as I was saying before, we're not even talking about people from Asia, but we just had that recent report where an al-Shabaab terrorist didn't even avoid Border Patrol. He turned himself in. He was processed and released and was in the country for over a year before the U.S. government realized their mistakes. So this is very concerning. I've been raising the warning for quite some time about this.
You know, Helen, I only got 20 seconds. Real quickly, to leave China, do you have to get approval from the government?
I don't think so. I think many of them, they basically fly to Ecuador, which they do not need a visa to go to Ecuador, and then from there they follow the TikTok instructions, pay smugglers, and make that a dangerous, long, and expensive trip.
Helen, thank you so much. Julio, excellent reporter on the ground.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.